This show is made possible by the patrons at patreon.com. Many equate elegance with a stark form of minimalism like you'd see in an abstract board game or something like Tetris. However, just as having a lot of rules shouldn't be a design goal, having very few rules also isn't helpful. We want our games to express their system using the smallest amount of rules possible, but the number of rules needed could potentially be quite large. For this reason, today I'd like to propose a more specific and more useful definition for the word elegance. As I mentioned in the previous episode, the primary value of games could be called understanding. A game that allows for more of this could be considered to have more depth. Games that get solved are effectively dead, so it's good that highly deep games resist solution for a long time. When we think about elegance, we should be more concerned with the ratio of the number of rules, or inherent complexity, to depth, or emergent complexity. For the purposes of illustration, let's imagine that we had a way of quantifying the depth of a game system in depth points. Let's say that game X has 20 rules and 10 depth points. Game Y has 15 rules and 10 depth points. In this case, we can say that game Y is more elegant because it has the bigger ratio of the two games. When the player decides to sit down and try to learn your game, they're doing you a huge favor. If your game is bad, the player can never get that time back. So I think we're indebted to players to not only deliver them something really great, but to deliver it to them as quickly and efficiently as we possibly can. This way, whether they end up liking our game or not, they still had the smallest upfront cost possible. In the previous example, Game X and Game Y both provide the same amount of depth, yet Game Y is significantly easier to learn. If we give our players Game X, we are literally wasting their time to some extent. Many modern games that people think of as deep are actually wide. They have a ton of inherent complexity. Each individual interaction in these games on their own is highly solvable, but modern games overwhelm the player with thousands and thousands of them. The effect is a system that technically isn't solved, at least for a little while. The big difference is that the process of solving a wide system isn't a matter of building heuristic understanding and thinking creatively like we talked about in the previous episode. Instead, it's really just a ton of somewhat rote memorization that players have to do in order to solve a wide game. Overall, the process of solving wide games is just too easy. For this reason, any wide games that are currently being played are on life support. They need constant rule changes and a steady drip of new content, as well as other deceptive techniques, which I'll get into in later episodes, to maintain the appearance of life. Elegance isn't just some novelty thing for game design auteurs, and it doesn't have anything to do with few rules. What it is a byproduct of designing a deep gameplay system. In the next episode, I'll get into the process for how we actually go about pursuing depth. Thanks for watching.